What's going on YouTube? So I finally got to watch Saw 10. And this is just my open spoiler review of it. Um, so this is an open spoiler review. Start off, I've always been a fan of Saw ever since I watched it 5, 6 years ago. And it's kind of the tradition, we watch it every Halloween. At least the first one. We usually watch the first two, and sometimes we'll rewatch all of them. Especially when the new Saw is coming out, whether it was Jigsaw or Spiral, we kind of watched them all to get ready. And this time it was special because my little brother, finally old enough to watch them, so we watched all of them. Of course, I didn't get to watch most of them. I watched like the first one, some of the second one, some of the. I think I watched 6 and 7. Some of the middle ones I didn't get to rewatch. But I would like to rewatch so I can review them. But I finally got to watch 10, and I thought it was really good. It got me really excited. I'm just I'm just happy that I've watched it. I've kind of been falling in and out of like the horror and maybe some of the more gruesome horror. And though it was kind of hard to watch like some of the traps, none of them seemed impossible, and it really brought it back to the format of testing. They brought it back to John and his original plan, and it was it just felt like a Saw movie. It kind of did feel like an earlier Saw movie. Really liked it. Audience loved it. The critics even loved it. I think it's the highest rated Saw movie by like 25%. Like I think the second highest is the original Saw with 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, which everyone knows you can't trust Rotten Tomatoes because their scoring isn't technically the right score. It's just people who would, you know, recommend it to other people. And some critics love this movie. 70% would say go watch this. So that's 7 out of 10 people say go watch this movie, and I'm right there with them. Go watch this movie. If you love Saw, this movie's fantastic. Um there was it was just fun. It was just good. It kind of brings it back to the Saw feeling. Um but it really just gets me excited for the future. They're talking about making a Saw 11, and I just start thinking, oh, what could this be? What is this gonna be a Jigsaw 2? Is it a Spiral 2? Is it another prequel? Is it gonna take place after Saw 10? Is it gonna be is Saw 11 gonna be in between Saw's 3 and 4, or in between 2 and 3? Are we gonna learn about more of his earlier stuff? Is this gonna be about the doctor being the new Jigsaw killer? Is it about what is the next one gonna be? And it just makes me so excited. Just thinking it's just, you get involved in a franchise like this, um, and you just get to just get to fantasize of what we can get next. And I wouldn't mind getting a Jigsaw too. I really like Jigsaw. I don't know, they haven't made one yet, so I kind of feel like they're done, and the critics didn't go crazy about it. But I feel like the fans are kind of liked it, but the critics have never liked any of these. I mean, the real fans go, "Oh, remember that one and that one and remember the insurance one?" And everyone's like, "Oh, I love the insurance one." And then critics are like, "Yeah, 13% stamped it. Only 1 out of 10 people say that is a good movie." And hey, that's what it is. But for fans, you're really gonna like this movie. This movie is really fun. It's it's new. We get to see it from John's point of view. He is the main character, while in pretty much every other time we watch a movie, it's the point of view character is never John. It's always the person in the game. And it threw me off. I'm like, okay, we get into the first 30 minutes and I'm like, okay, when is the point of view going to change, or when is it going to do a little time, like a fast forward? And it doesn't happen. And I'm just thinking, this is really weird. And then it's like, oh, this is John's game. This is all his. And then it's like, and then it's not his game. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a little weird. And I was expecting when he goes to the facility and realize he got scammed out of his money, I figured that, we would hear the famous Jigsaw song, and we never get it. And I'm like, that's kind of weird because this is his Saw moment, but it's also like he didn't play a game, but he did get scammed, so it's kind of like I was kind of waiting, and I kind of was like, but it doesn't show up. Um, and then we're like halfway through, and I'm like, this is so weird. I mean, he's just explaining to traps to the people. There's no, where's Billy? I want to see Billy. Billy doesn't show up. There's no recording. There's no I want to play a game. There's there's no song. I'm like, where's the song? Um and finally, open spoilers. So I'm gonna say finally we do get the stuff. We get Billy. We get the tape recording. We get the song. Twist at the end was brilliant, and I didn't see it coming like most of these movies. And when you do, you're like, oh my gosh, John is so smart, and it's the traps were inventive and the understanding, and you could just from him being the point of view characters, you see how much he just wanted them to pass. And he, like, even the girl who everyone wanted dead the most, he still wanted her to kind of win the game. He wouldn't let he wouldn't let her just kill her. She had to play a game, and the entire game was being played from the moment she woke up. And she played the game, and she technically failed, and she still got a second chance and won. So she won the game, but she also lost the game. And I thought it was just mind blowing, the twists that, like, the girl he would want, like, it was never her trap, it was John's trap. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And this kid, where's his spinoff? Like, this kid is like the great. What is he, like 9, 12? Like, he's a child, and he's already won a trap, and he's sacrificed himself to save some stranger who fixed his bike a week ago. This kid is like the best kid ever. Like, where's his spinoff? I want to see his spin-off movie. What is he gonna do with the money? That's what I want to see. And it's just, I had so much fun. I mean, the kid was great, and I'm just so like, I'm like, oh, this poor kid. I mean, he didn't do anything, and then this chick is so crazy. Like, she's an evil witch, and she just brings this innocent kid trying to play soccer at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, this poor kid. And then he gets put into a saw trap. Like, he did nothing wrong. He doesn't need to be tested, and he still gets tested because they're evil people. And it was just crazy. It was like that. I feel like, I don't know if there was another time in a Saw movie where I was just like, wow, that character is just so wholesome. And it goes back to the point, like, how could we root for John, even though he's the Jigsaw killer. But somehow you just love him. You just understand what he wants. You get all the backstory. Like, we just love John. And it's weird. And we love this kid. Like, let's bring this kid back 100 times. Um, I don't know if they're ever gonna bring him back. Probably not. I don't know. Maybe they want to do a fast forward thing where they throw this kid into a Jigsaw 2 and he becomes some kind of yeah, like he's like some kind of not a fetish, but some kind of fantasy about Saw. And because hey man, I was in a Saw trap when I was 9, and I knew this John Kramer guy, and you won't believe it, but I saved his life. And like you'd think that like when some information came out, this kid would like understand or go crazy or something. It's like, hey, that guy fixed my bike. So it's kind of fascinating how this one movie just opens it so much. Um, the way that Jigsaw, how they wanted to open it up with Jigsaw and how they wanted to open it up with Spiral, I feel like this movie actually did a good job at one, making critics love it, making fans love it, and also opening up the world a little bit, even making it a sequel to the first one and a prequel to 2 through 9. It was an interesting take and it really worked. I feel like it was well executed for sure. And it was finally something we get to see that we have heard many times about but never got to see, while also doing an interesting switch on the Saw franchise with John being the main character. I loved it. I would recommend it. There is a couple. The twists always get you. Maybe I'm just gullible, but I don't see some of this stuff coming, and I would definitely recommend it to a Saw fan. And if you're not a Saw fan and you don't like gore and you don't like people cutting their own legs off, this one really isn't that bad. I mean, there's only like 4 traps. I would say there's obviously. I mean, there's only a couple traps that we see, and probably two of them. Not actually, all three. The three first traps are really rough. The second, the last one's not really that rough because it's not about skin or gore, but it's also like a rational fear that may trigger some people. Um, and then the last trap that is like the final game, really isn't that scary, but it was just fascinating how the ending and the twist and everything. So I think there's only 5 traps. No, I lied. There's 6 traps. I forgot about the trap in the beginning, and that was terrifying. Eye stuff. I can't do eye stuff. I mean, breaking the fingers is one thing. Some eye stuff with the vacuum, can't. That was rough. So there were 6 traps. The first 4 were pretty rough, pretty gruesome. The last 2 were pretty light work, graphically wise. All the traps were very unique, and just the location of the traps were pretty cool. Um, and I mean, I just love Saw. I'm just can't wait for the 11th. They think around 2025. So hopefully we get some updates within the next year. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure the strikes are gonna be over. I would be so surprised if like the writer strike is over. I'm really surprised if the actor strikes go on for that much longer. Um, but yeah, I really hope that we get some more Saw movies in development. Whether that's a Spiral 2, a Jigsaw 2, they'll possibly just call it Saw 11. Um, I would watch 10 more of these movies going on the next 10 years. I mean, Saw is about a 20-year franchise. I believe the first one came out 2004. It's 2023. We're about to be at the 20-year celebration for the first movie. And Some people may be tired of it. Personally, I'm not. I'm willing to go every single October to go watch the new Saw movie and just build on the franchise. I'm kind of just blabbering on about it, but I just love these movies. I love this movie. It was so exciting that we finally got a Saw movie, and we finally got a Saw movie that critics and audience liked. So I think this one is very high on rankings, and I really hope that it opens up the movie franchise that so many people love because I'm pretty sure it made money. I would be surprised if it didn't make money. Um, but I mean, it's also on Amazon. Um, and then I think it's kind of getting out of theaters. But yeah, I had fun. I love it. I recommend it for sure.